Jaylen Brown just got traded for Pandemic P, 2 first-round picks that won't amount to anything, and 2 second-round picks. What are the Celtics doing? This is, since the Luka trade, the worst trade I've ever seen in my life. I've lived through the Luka Doncic trade, and now I've lived through the Paul George for Jaylen Brown trade. And Jaylen Brown, who, keep in mind, last year was a MVP caliber player. I believe he was 4th in the MVP voting, as well as a few years ago was the Celtics Finals MVP winner. Jaylen Brown is 30 years old at the peak of his career. At this moment in time, Jaylen Brown's value should be at its utmost highest. Many calls from the league, all around, different teams giving you good players that may have you could have traded for Jaylen Brown. Could have probably got Kawhi for Jaylen Brown. Before this trade, Jaylen Brown was in talks to go to the Raptors. You could have easily got a way better package for that. They just traded Jaylen Brown for a 36-year-old washed NBA player who can't stay healthy to save his life. And in the season where he is the most healthy, which is last season, his ass gets caught taking drugs and gets banned for 25 games. Paul George, in 2026, just got traded for an MVP caliber player. Paul George is on arguably the worst contract in the NBA, with him being over for the next 3 years straight. He will be getting paid $50 million. Forget all the baggage that comes with him, his injuries, him falling off in the playoffs, all this, that, and the third. Forget all that for a second. His contract alone is why this deal should be a no-go. And it makes you wonder, what was Jaylen Brown doing in that front office? What was he saying to Brad Stevens? What has Jaylen Brown done to get traded for nothing? The Celtics got nothing back in return for this. They got 2 first-round picks, one of the picks being a 2028 first-round pick that could convert from a first to a swap that is more favorable to Boston. But if I'm not mistaken, Boston and the Sixers should be very competitive 2 years from now, especially the damn Sixers. Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Embiid. Even if Embiid can't play, those 3 alone, always playoff team guaranteed. The Celtics getting the Phillies picks aren't good in 2028. That's basically a second-round pick. So they also get a 2031 protected, which who knows what will happen in 5 years. Can't predict the future. But will it be bad? If I'm not mistaken, VJ Edgecombe is on contract until 2030. So unless something unforeseen happens, an unforeseen injury, unforeseen crazy, anything like that, Edgecombe, Maxey, and Jaylen Brown should all be here in 5 years. If not, they'll have other young players that they drafted. It's just this, and then they get 2 second-round, but no one cares about the second-round picks. This trade is awful. This trade is terrible. When I saw this notification on my phone, I was out at the game, I believe, watching the USA game. My jaw dropped. This is the worst trade I think I've seen in my life. This may be up there with the Luka trade. I can't fathom what the Celtics think they're doing. What is the game plan? You get rid of your MVP level player, which is if you want to get rid of him, fine. Apparently they had some whatever behind the scenes, maybe whatever, some arguments, some disagreements, whatever that may be. For you to get back this trade package when you are trying to compete, because last season without Jason Tatum, y'all were a 2nd seed pushing to be in the conference finals. Yes, you got 3-1 comeback by the team you just traded, but still, y'all are still a very competitive team. You would think that with Jaylen Brown's up and comings of being an MVP player, he'd be very, very safe. If I was Brad Stevens, seeing what Jaylen Brown just became by being by himself, knowing that he has a second gear to where if Tatum goes down, we have an MVP level player as our second man. Why wouldn't you want to keep that? Why is Paul George? Paul George. Oh my goodness. The Celtics could have had anybody for Jaylen Brown. If you believe Jaylen Brown has no value, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Jaylen Brown, reiterated again. MVP level player, just was top 5 MVP level last year. Jaylen Brown is only 30 years old, or I think he's becoming 30 years old, 29, 30, at the peak of his career right now. You're telling me the Celtics couldn't have got Jalen Duren, can't get you Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, can't get you Brandon Ingram, can't get you Jalen Johnson, can't get you Dyson Daniels. You're telling me Jaylen Brown can get you only Paul Pandemic George. You can't get Kawhi Leonard. You can't get Devin Booker. You can't go to Portland and see what the Trailblazers, or see what Denny Avdija is thinking. You can't go see what the Warriors are doing with Jimmy Butler and their boatload of picks. You can't go to the Pelicans and see what Trey Murphy and them want. Like, there are so many other options for the Celtics to have gone down, and they went down the worst. This is like the worst thing they could have done. And the thing is, no one saw this coming. No one thought the Sixers were even in the race for Jaylen Brown. Because why would you want to help out a division rival, right? Especially somebody who just made a 3-1 comeback on you. It just doesn't make sense. Like, and if you're one of those people who say he's just going to be rerouted, who wants this contract for a player that is at this point he has to be as good as Jaylen Brown? So who wants this contract? $50+ million for Paul George to give you 17 points a night and play 30 games a season and fall off in the playoffs. Who wants that? No one wants him on their team. He has arguably one of the worst contracts in the entire league. And to top it off, his ass is about to be 37 years old. Paul George is about to be 37 years old. And he just got traded for Jaylen Brown. One more thing before this video ends. So, let me put it like this. The difference between getting Paul George as a Celtics fan and Giannis Antetokounmpo are Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez. So what you're saying is the Celtics said no to Giannis because they want to keep those two, but are very okay with getting Paul George? Pandemic P, Pee-wee P, Pussy P. Dude, if I was a Celtics fan, holy bro, I have a BF right now. I'd have to write a letter to Brad Stevens, to the company, to the organization, to somebody, bro. This genuinely is almost as bad as the Luka trade. Only reason it's not as bad is because Jaylen Brown isn't a Luka level player. But goodness gracious, what did the Celtics get? They got 2 picks that aren't going to be valuable in the first round, and then 2 seconds. And Paul George, Pandemic P. I'm going to keep saying that because Paul George at 37 years old is not good enough to be all you get in a Jaylen Brown trade. Whatever you think of Jaylen Brown, whatever you think of him as he's not can't dribble left, can't X, whatever. Whatever you think of Jaylen Brown, he is nowhere near to being as less valuable as Paul George. Impossible. Impossible. This trade is mind-blowing. Hours later, I'm still confused. Because at this point, what are the Celtics trying to do? You can't get I doubt someone is going to want to offer you their best player for an expiring deal like Paul George. And this goes back to my other point. If you wanted to get rid of Jaylen Brown so bad, why the hell did you wait until Giannis was gone for you to say, well, we got to get rid of him somehow. We just got to get rid of him. It feels like they just wanted to push him out of the door. Like, it feels like they didn't care what they got back. Just, hey, get out. For some reason, we don't... Yes. What do you want? What? Like I was saying, it feels as if they just don't want him in the building. Like, they just... Something had to have gone down between Jaylen Brown and the front office. He had to have said something to somebody. He had to anger somebody in control. Because this is ridiculous. This is the worst trade in so long. It's baffling. You know what even makes me even more angry? If all the Celtics wanted was Paul George, basically an expiry, I doubt they're going to have him at the start of next season. So if they just wanted a contract to get rid of Jaylen Brown and 2 picks, why didn't they say that? I would have, if I was the Warriors, please, I beg if you take Jimmy Butler from us and just get... You just want 2 first-round picks? Sure. We can put a little pick swap on it, too, because you clearly don't want good picks. So, yeah, let's give you a future pick, and let's give you one that's 2 years from now. What is Brad Stevens doing? Bro won Executive of the Year, I think, 2 years ago. Snatch that shit away. This is this erases everything you've done, in my opinion. This is by far the worst case scenario for Celtics fans, and it's not even close. Mind you, I want to end this video with this. The Celtics were Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez away from having Giannis, but said no. I want Pandemic P. I want Paul fucking George.